Tax-free is incoming. Woohoo! Celebrate! You'll be able to afford Christmas for your kids. No GST. That 5% is going to be crucial. We're here to see it, my friends. We are excited that there's actually some decent policy coming down the pipe. Sort of. Not having GST on items in Canada is actually pretty nice. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for those out in Alberta. Congratulations to you. It's going to be a nice holiday season for you. But don't take your eye off the prize. Don't take your eye off what is going on right now and what is happening currently. This is all the talk. This is why I titled this video with tax freeze incoming, because that is something that's getting everyone fired up right now. And rightfully so. Nice to be able to get some money back from this government who has had such a great record of cutting taxes in the past 9 years. The reason why I say not so fast, the reason why I'm saying don't get too excited, because it's all about holding this government accountable. Understand how the political game works. Understand how this game operates. I know many who watch the show, many who tune in regularly know how it works, but I figured it would be incumbent upon me to explain what is happening. And look at the history that's led to this decision, and keep in mind to keep your foot on the gas, pedal to the metal, and don't let the opponent off the mat. What are you talking about, Josh? What are you getting at right now? Well, this is what I'm getting at. This is what I'm talking about. What happened this time yesterday? What was the big news that dropped this time yesterday? Give you a couple seconds to guess. Randy Boissonnault stepped down as a cabinet member. But don't you worry, Edmonton Centre. He's still your MP. No, he is just stepping down as a cabinet member. What we've been seeing happening over time, we're going to sum up here fairly quickly of what's been going on with him, what's been happening if you haven't been following. But this man is caught up in so much corruption. Another member of the Liberal Party caught up in corruption. Surprise, surprise. Funneling money to businesses and their buddies. Here we are. Haha. This happened yesterday where he decided to step down. It was announced that Randy Boissonnault was stepping down for cabinet. And Justin Trudeau got up in the QP and said, yes, Randy's going to be stepping away to focus on the allegations and the investigations that are upon him right now, making sure he clears his name. That happened yesterday. That hit X social media like a bomb to those who are following politics. But what happened the very next morning? This hits the wire the first thing this morning. Liberals plan to send $250 checks to Canadians, temporarily cutting GST on some items. And he gets up, he announces this is what we're doing, this is what's going to be happening, so that people forget what happened with Randy.
Who is Randy?
So people forget what's going on with Randy. And this has all been what we talk about. This has been pretty much all the talk lately on Parliament Hill is this man and his business dealings. And it's been sketchy to say the least. Because this is how this government works. They've never, ever done anything except for maybe the first 6 months they were in power back in 2015, going into 2016, where they actually passed some policies that were good for the overall people. But anything they've done has always been self-serving, and it's always finding a way to cover up whatever they're currently doing. And this is just another avenue to do it. When has this government ever cared about cutting taxes? When has this government ever cared about making things a little more affordable for the everyday person? All they've done is actually make life more expensive, introducing new taxes and other ways to gain their money from the regular people. That's all they've been doing anytime they've been in power. The whole time they've been in power, that's what they've been doing. Obviously, the big one is the carbon tax and how that impacts so many parts of our economy where it makes literally everything more expensive. So at what point have they ever cared about cutting taxes? Genuinely. That's why this is a clear play to get Randy's name out of the news and move in this new GST freeze. That's all this is. So keep your eyes on the prize. Don't get caught up talking about all this BS, because that's what I've been seeing on X all day is people nitpicking all the GST freeze. What does it apply to? What are we getting? Honestly, when I look at it, it's actually pretty decent. I can't complain. But I'm not going to get caught up talking about that. We'll get into like kind of what it means and what it looks like. But we're going to make sure we keep our eyes on what's going on. And to remind our viewers, remind you at home, of what they're trying to cover up here. And do not forget, and we're going to sum up exactly everything that Randy did over the past year into one nice little bow so that you have that debate, you have this in your back pocket. Do not forget what Randy Boissonnault did. Do not let the GST freeze news to cover over what he did, because that's exactly what the Liberals are intending with this news. 100%. That's how this game works. You know how I said that? At what point has this government ever cared about cutting taxes? Well, let's take a look here, shall we? Taxes have risen almost 75% since this government took office. 75% the taxes have gone up in Canada under this government. As I said, at what point have they ever cared about cutting taxes? In 2016, they had a moderate cut to taxes for a specific segment of the middle class, and that was about it since. So again, ask yourself if this is just a cover-up, or do they actually care about Canadians? I'll show you this. The GST freeze was tabled at one point in the past couple of years, and it wasn't by Jagmeet Singh. It wasn't by Justin Trudeau. No, it was by Aaron O'Toole. Listen to this.
It's getting harder to make ends meet in Canada, and will only get harder as we approach the holiday season. Canada's Conservatives have a plan to help Canadian families and small businesses. We will implement a month-long GST holiday this December. All purchases at retail stores will be tax-free for a month. It's time to give families a break and help small businesses recover. Canada's Conservatives are the only party with a detailed plan to lower prices. Together, we will secure the future.
So that was Aaron O'Toole. Released that in August of 2021, leading up to the 2021 election. If Liberals really see the pain people are in and really want to make sure they alleviate the pain over the holidays, why wasn't this done sooner? Why didn't they do this in 2022? Why didn't they do this in 2023? Why wait till 2024? What is so politically convenient to bring this up at the time? It's not like people weren't in pain in 2021, 22, or 23. But now all of a sudden, what's happening in 2024? Oh, yeah, we'll go back to the day before you announced this tax freeze. To, oh, yeah, your cabinet member pretending to be an Indigenous person has stepped down. Let's try to forget that, and let's strive on to have tax freezes. Give me a break. This is like Justin Trudeau sitting down over the weekend. Yeah, we're going to cut down on immigration. Okay, thank you. Apparently, because Justin Trudeau talks about it now, it's not racist anymore. But the minute I bring it up, bigotry. Bigotry. So that's why I go into this issue of this clearly is about political convenience. It's not about you. It's not about us. It's about trying to get people to forget how terrible their record is, how corrupt they are, and trying to sweep this Randy Boissonnault stuff under the rug. This has been going on for so long. This investigation, these news has been going on for at least the past year. And it just took till now for Randy to step down. That shows you how outright bogus and corrupt they are. Lest we forget, shall we? Again, this story's been going on for over the course of a year at least. And the investigations and the Conservatives really digging into this has been going on for quite some time. What has happened is information's been trickled out over time to kind of soften the blow. But I'm going to throw it all to you right now within the next 5 minutes to remind you everything that's gone on with this man and what he's done. A cabinet minister that is allowed to continue to do what he's been doing until it got too much that he had to step down. So he founded a company in 2020 called Global Health Imports. Remember that we had a 2019 election. 2019 gets voted out. 2020 starts his company. 2021, another election happens. And he gets in as an MP at Edmonton Centre. And so what you're supposed to do as an MP in these situations is you're supposed to dissolve yourself of any involvement with any companies you're running and go ahead and serve as an MP. Selena talked about this on Jordan Peterson's podcast of what you're supposed to do. And she actually did it and ended up having to restart her life after she was done being an MP, learning that all the other MPs don't even do that. But we won't get into that right now. But it's sketchy at best. But what you're supposed to do is dissolve yourself of any dealings with the company and you move yourself forward. The problem is he didn't necessarily do that. He wasn't like actively running the business, but he was managing it to a degree. So again, 2021, he gets elected back in. In 2022, GHI, his company, entered into an agreement with an American company for $3 million to send them PPE gear. The problem there is the fact that the gear never got there. They closed on a $3 million deal and the material never got there. We only know about this because the lawyer of the company in the States, 4M Medical, contacted the authorities in Edmonton saying these guys are a fraud. We settled on a $3 million deal. I sent them a $300,000 deposit and I never got anything back. So Edmonton started looking into it. Naturally, the Edmonton police started looking into it. And Weber, who is the lawyer of 4M, the company in the States, alleged that Boissonnault's former business partner, Stephen Anderson, was running a fraudulent scheme through his corporations to provide a large deposit that he had no means to fulfill. They are being accused of doing deals that they have no capability to fulfill, is what was being alleged here in these court documents. And this is where it gets interesting. This is where Randy comes back into the picture. Randy said that he resigned in the fall of 2021 from GHI. However, he kept a 50% stake in the company until June of 2024, until things started percolating, and things started getting heated up on social media about his business dealings. All of a sudden, he sold off his whole stake in the company. Pretty sure you're supposed to do that 3 years prior, sir. Keep in mind this, though. It is not illegal to own shares in companies as an MP. Simply not. However, it is illegal to manage those companies while you're an MP. He's accused of doing that. How do we know this? How do we know he was managing? Well, it ended up turning out that Mr. Anderson, Randy's business partner, was texting back and forth with this lawyer from 4M Medical, referring to this guy named Randy. Didn't drop a last name, but it said Randy. And in 2 texts referring to Randy. But this is how we know it was Randy Boissonnault, because also in those same texts, Anderson referred to Randy as his business partner and a member of parliament. And throughout this whole process, Randy vehemently denied that he had any involvement with the company and that he did dissolve everything in his handling of the company while being an MP. He denied all of this, even though all the proof is right there. That A, they're committing fraud, first off. Second, that he was still managing the company and getting kickbacks from it. This is the kicker. I went on the Canadian website, went to look at the list of ineligible and suspended suppliers under the ineligibility and suspension policy. Took a little scroll through here. Just a handful. Not one of them says Global Health Imports. No GHI mentioned here. You know, the company that's being accused of fraud by companies in the States? Yeah, they're still eligible to apply for government bids. And I get it. Okay, you know, they haven't been convicted of anything, so I understand. Well, okay, fine. I get it. You know, it's still in the court process. They're still investigating, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I get it why it's not there. Okay, I understand. Well, let's take a look at this then. While these investigations of fraud from the Edmonton police are going on, this is where it got really fun. His business, GHI, got caught claiming that they're a fully Indigenous-owned company so they could bid on contracts for Indigenous companies. And when this came to light, and when this came to the surface, Randy Boissonnault said, oh, shoot, I just accidentally checked the box for Indigenous-owned. I didn't realize I did that. However, I didn't think it was a serious issue or it wasn't a serious problem because my grandmother or my great-grandmother is full-blooded Cree. So, you know, it was a slip, but it's all good because I am technically part Indigenous. Not to mention that his great-grandmother is his adopted great-grandmother. We're not going to talk about that, though. Don't talk about that. And then it got more interesting. National Post did some digging into census data and obituaries and found out his great-grandmother was not full Cree and actually happened to be part Métis. This guy has a lot of amnesia about his cultural upbringings, considering he was leveraging them to land government money. It's one thing to say, you know, you're talking to a friend, like, well, yeah, I'm like a quarter Irish. I understand. And it's like you leave it at the bar and it is what it is. But when you're leveraging your identity that doesn't actually exist to land government contracts while you're an MP is nothing but short of wild. And then he kept kind of flip-flopping. It's like, oh, I'm Cree, I'm Métis. I kind of forgot about it. Oh, no, I don't know. Like, he couldn't land on who he was and why he did this. He kept making up BS issues and BS reasons of why he continued to do what he was doing. And as the fire got hotter, being investigated for fraud, turns out his company was connected to a drug dealer who got caught in 2 big drug busts on top of his fraudulent business partner who got taken in front of committee. And then now, obviously, claiming fake Indigenous heritage, this man was all up in it. Look how big of a mess this was. how awful this was, especially from the party that believes in truth and reconciliation. Oh, they're reconciling their bank accounts, all right. They're loving it. Give me some more of that indigenous money. I want some more of it as a white guy. Give me more. Talking and seeing, posts from Jennifer L, Auntie Allie, and other indigenous creators, I've been seeing how much of a slap in the face it is to them. Seeing this man just get away with it. And it took forever. This news kept coming out, dribbling out more and more, and he wouldn't step down. The party wouldn't force him to step down. Nothing was happening. If this was a conservative, this would have been headline. It would have been in your face all the time. No, but instead, it keeps being kind of trying to be forgotten about. And obviously, the government's going to do what the government's going to do. But this is why I have an issue with this tax freeze coming literally less than 24 hours after it was announced that this man was stepping down. Lest we forget about the dealings of this man and what he's done. The party of truth and reconciliation. Last but not least, just from an entertainment perspective of this point, Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer bring this up in the House of Commons this past week. He made some statements that were apparently against the rules. And this is kind of the issue why people are losing faith in our government system and how things operate, especially during question period. Take a listen.
Well, we don't know what it'll take for this guy to get fired from this prime minister. We do know what will get you fired. Remember Jody Wilson-Raybould? Oh, yeah. She was fired for telling the truth about the prime minister's attempts to interfere in a criminal case. Here's what she had to say. A prime minister committed to true reconciliation would have removed this minister and the other Randy from cabinet long ago. Instead, we get to watch white people play Ancestry Wheel of Fortune. Ouch. How come under this prime minister, a strong Indigenous woman gets fired for telling the truth when a weak, fake Indigenous man gets to keep his job after lying? Yeah!
I'm going to ask the honourable member from Regina Capel, who once sat in this chair, to withdraw that one word which was directly used to another member, which would not be considered parliamentary. I'm going to ask the honourable member to do so.
I'll withdraw the word lying and replace it with telling falsehoods. Yes.
I'm going to ask the honourable member to withdraw the word fake, please.
Withdraw the word fake? What are we doing? It was true. It was proven.
Sorry, just for the speaker to clarify, the word fake, but the minister did...
He faked all those things.
The minister is now admitting that he's not Indigenous, so he faked. To be something.
Yesterday, there were members who were asked to withdraw that very same word, and the member did. And so I'm going to ask the honourable...
We are not a serious people. Speaker is turning House of Commons into a joke. This man clearly came out and said that, shoot, I'm not actually Indigenous. I just applied for Indigenous grants and Indigenous funds under the guise and premise that I'm Indigenous because I claim that my company is fully Indigenous owned. And then the House Leader Andrew Scheer calls it out, calling him a fake Indigenous person. You can't say he's fake. It's not like we're making things up here. This was proven. He admitted to it. And you could tell Speaker Fergus was like, ooh, I stepped in that one. Well, I told someone yesterday that they couldn't use it, so you've just got to withdraw now. Clearly, someone got in Craig Fergus's ear because the next day, Per Polyev, which would have been yesterday, got all up in question period and called him a fake Indigenous person all up and down, and there was no objection by the Speaker from it. So clearly, he was corrected. But it is wild to see it all kind of transpire and go down. This all brings us to this whole tax freeze, right? This tax freeze comes out after all this news and just ridiculous goings on. So what happens to this tax freeze? There's some cool things, I would say, that are applied to it. They're prepared foods, including vegetable trays, pre-made meals, salads and sandwiches. And you can kind of read through that all. Children's toys, snacks, restaurant meals, Christmas trees, books, print newspapers, puzzles, and all these types of things. Like, these are all relatively decent. Like, they're all consumer goods. Some people are a little upset because, like, well, these aren't groceries. These are just, like, the things that we can't afford in the first place. And I'm like, I understand, but, like, groceries technically also aren't taxed unless, like, they don't have the HST applied to them. So I'm just kind of like, it's a moot point for me. But like, it's half decent. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is nice to get some money back. I'm not gonna poo-poo on this completely. It's nice to get that money back. Don't get me wrong. But it is interesting considering that this idea was brought by the Conservatives and poo-pooed on by the Liberals at the time. And now here we are 3 years later, 24 hours after probably one of the bigger scandals that's happened with this government. Now they bring this out. Very interesting. And the thing about this too is it's not a guarantee that this gets through. Because the issue is going on with the green slush fund and the documents, and Parliament is technically seized at the moment, I don't even know if this is actually going to fully go through. I don't know if this is actually going to happen. I think there's about an 85% chance it will, but there's a chance it doesn't because of all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. And it could be used as like, oh, the Conservatives are freezing the tax cut. They're freezing the tax freeze. Conservatives don't want you to get money at Christmas, and that's how it'll be painted. Jagmeet says that the NDP will support it and will support the measures. And as he was speaking to reporters after Trudeau's announcement, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said his party will support the affordability measures in Parliament. He said, we want to see this bill passed as quickly as possible. We know middle-class families need a break. We're not going to oppose getting people some help. Singh said the NDP will work with the Liberals to temporarily lift the logjam in Parliament to get the bill through in a single day before then allowing an ongoing filibuster to resume. I was referring to the green slush fund situation. He says he's going to try and get it all unclogged so that they can get through. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Parliament has been paralyzed for the last 6 sitting weeks by a standoff over documents related to a federal green technology program plagued by scandal. Opposition MPs passed a motion demanding the government release all internal documents related to that team. Yeah, we know the story. So we'll see what happens here, right? We don't know fully what the plans are and how they're going to make this all work. But do not forget that this was never about you. This is never about us. Yes, we'll get a little bit of benefit for now. But this is how this regime works. As soon as too much pressure is mounted on them and the stupidity they're doing and too much light is being flashed on the nonsense and their corruption, they'll throw something out there for people to focus on so people forget about the nonsense that's happening. So yes, go and enjoy your tax cut. Go buy some things that are nice for the family. Have fun. Not going to stop you. I think it's well worth it. You deserve to get some money back. But simply do not forget that this tax freeze was 100% a smoke screen to make sure you forget about one of the biggest corruption scandals happening with a cabinet member with this government. That's it for me. Have yourself a good night. Thanks for listening. I'm out.